I turned and I looked, and like I was directed to a different segment, which hadn't been there before, but it's like a little room formed inside a room. And there were some people there, and there's one person who was going, no, no, no. And like I got the sense like an adolescent or almost a child saying, I don't want to go to school or something, you know. And I felt it in me, and I knew that was me. And I thought, oh my God, I'm an alien. I kept saying to her, I'm an alien. I'm an alien. I had a list of questions I was supposed to answer my counsel, but now I have all the other questions. So he kept saying, the first question was, why am I here? And they showed me a picture of my front lawn, and there's these children holding sparklers. And I adopted 4 special needs kids from across the world. And I thought, oh, I'm here to help them see their sparkles. Okay, I can, because I saw how much that person didn't want to come here. And I thought I would come for my kids. That's all. I'd do it for my kids. Okay.
Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast. For those of you who really wanted to sign up for Soul Discovery Workshop, I have great news for you. You can head to my website, and on the homepage, if you go to the little box that describes Soul Discovery Workshop, there is a button there that says sign up for the wait list. So if you want to be in the know and want to be the very first one to sign up for the next session of Soul Discovery Workshop online, feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. Go to that homepage, click sign up for the wait list, and send your email, phone number, as well as your first and last name. And I will make sure you get that registration email as soon as the next course is ready to launch. In addition, you will get a discount code for the early bird sign up. So if you are interested, head over there now.
Today's episode is full of twists and turns. So we will talk a bit about Tessa's soul purpose and soul origin. And as usual, I'm always flabbergasted when I get information that I haven't gotten before. It's always so super interesting to me, and today's session is no different. We connect to her soul purpose and how her soul was born. And in addition, she is asking about a past life regression that she had, where she went into an in-between life state, and she was presented with a group of what she called aliens, and she realized that she was one of them. We start to elaborate on this experience for her and start to identify why she had this experience and what it was showing her. In the discussion portion, I'm going to talk a little bit about the subject of aliens, and are they really here on Earth? Are they really walking among us? And why did Earth start off as a lower vibrational planet? What prompted this journey of Earth and how she is ascending? We'll also discuss fear in religion and how it keeps us out of our power, and the way in which Tessa's soul was originated was she was birthed from a portal. I'm going to ask the guys to elaborate on that further in the discussion. So stay tuned. Tell me, what would you like to talk about today?
I have numerous things, but I'm sure the ones that I'm going to ask initially are ones you've heard before, like what am I supposed to be doing in life spiritually? Certain things like I've been studying mediumship for a couple of years. I made progress, but it's not like outstanding. And I'm wondering if there's other lives I can draw on to get better at it. Also, I'm writing a novel and it's hard work, but I have to do it because I just have to do it. If there's any other lifetimes that would give me, I wouldn't say the issue is creativity. It's just like I get over flooded with of ideas, and then I can't sort them out to organize them well.
Okay.
How's that for starts?
That's good. We're going to do a chakra scan for you to see where you might have any blockages or where there's something that we need to address. And that'll give us some information as well. And then we will just dive in and see what we need to see. Okay.
Okie doke.
Amazing. Okay. In your root chakra, I'm seeing that it's pretty clear at the moment. They're saying to me that it is something that has been quite open for most of your life. Like you haven't had a whole lot of blocks regarding your feelings of safety and security, your base foundation of who you are, your feeling of home, of where you are. All of those things have felt rather solid within your chakra system. It's interesting though, because like I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity though, in terms of the colors of the root chakra. So there's no blockages there, and it seems all very healthy, but there's not a whole lot of color coming out. So I'm going to ask the guides like why that is. She's in the process of building a new foundation. Okay. That makes sense. The old foundation is now gone, and this is the new one that you are starting to co-create with the universe. Let's move that energy up to the sacral chakra. All right. I'm seeing half of the chakra is good. The other half has like a black covering over it. And usually to me, that says that it's a past life driven. So the flow in your creativity right now is sort of stunted a little bit because of this. We'll take a look at that past life to see what maybe we can do to clear that. Then maybe your creativity and your flow will be a bit more clear in the sense that you will get a bigger picture. Yeah. Okay. Then let's move that energy up to the solar plexus chakra. I find it interesting that you are writing a novel because your solar plexus chakra is saying to me, I don't have anything to say. All right. What is that having to do with? Is that a past life? Yes. It's almost a feeling of like, I know I want to do this. I know I have to write this, or I have to speak out, or I have to do something. It doesn't necessarily just have to do with writing, but it has to do with you speaking your voice and what you feel. And it's almost as if you feel like it's all been said and done before, and you don't know that your voice has anything to offer that's any more poignant or any different than anyone else has already said. And so we'll take a look at this past life as well. And the one thing that they want me to tell you is that there is absolutely a reason, given the fact that you have a unique energy. That unique energy lends itself to what you are communicating, and no one else has your specific energetic signature. So whatever information you are expressing has to do with your energy and how it's being expressed, not just the words that are spoken or the words that are written. And that's something that you have to remember. Okay. So then let's move that energy into your heart space. All right. I'm hearing I love, I love, I love, I love. And why can't I get that same love in return? Is this a past life situation? No, this is current life. And I'm hearing that this is old also. This is from past, possibly childhood, early years. You didn't know how to receive love. People surrounding you didn't know how to give it. There was a bit of a vacuum there. There was a bit of a void in not knowing how to feel or express love around the people that didn't know how to feel or express love. And the reason why they're showing this to me is because they're saying that you can let that go now. You're in a place now where you can feel that love. You do know what it feels like to love and to express love and to feel love. And they're saying it's time to let go and forgive the people who didn't know how to love you the way that you needed and wanted to be loved. Then let's move that energy into your throat chakra. That's so interesting because it's almost the opposite of your solar plexus. Your throat chakra is saying, I have a lot to say. And it's the delivery of what you need to say is more brain led than heart led. There's a disconnect in that type of communication. Yes, connecting in with your brain and your heart and communicating from that place is going to be your sweet spot of how to communicate. This is not from a past life. This is an overcompensation for what we were seeing in the solar plexus chakra. And we'll take a look at that as well. You've got some confusion going in your crown chakra. Part of the reason why your mediumship gifts are not moving forward as strongly as you want them to be is because right now what they're showing me is that there are earthbound spirits that are contacting you or giving you information, and they're giving you information through your crown chakra. And there are also some earthbound spirits that you may not want to have access to your crown chakra. Some more discernment is needed, energy clearing is needed, and understanding that you can set the intention to close your crown chakra when you are out and about, when you are in a place where maybe there are other earthbound spirits who are trying to get your attention. And it's not that it's detrimental to you, it's just they might be in lower energy and they're jumping into your energy field via your crown chakra, and they're making things a little bit confusing for you. Today we are opening up the Akashic Records. We're going to go to soul and life purpose first, and then we'll go to the clearing. Okay. How many lifetimes do we need to look at for her soul purpose? Just one. You've had very strong mediumship gifts for every single incarnation you've had. This is your main spiritual gift, if you will. I'm hearing the words prophet and seer, messenger. All right, so we're going all the way back to a lifetime that is more ancient, at a period of time where your gifts were very strong. Even though the earth herself was rather low in energy, your gifts were quite high in vibration. And you have an incredible ability to dive all the way down into the shadow, but then also reach all the way to the higher levels of the divine. You can do this very easily within your human body, which a lot of humans and a lot of souls that are incarnated as human are not exactly able to do proficiently. This is something that you have been doing since the beginning of your incarnation here on this planet. There are many things that are necessary to help with Earth's ascension. And one of the things is a heads up, so to speak. In this particular lifetime, I'm seeing you're a man. You're wearing long robes. They're white-ish with gold trim at the neck. It comes down to like a V at the neck, and it's gold trim. You're wearing sandals, and you have long-ish hair, sandy brown, and a very chiseled face, like very sharp features and very kind eyes. Your physical vessel that you incarnate in at each and every lifetime is very specifically chosen by you before your incarnation, because of the fact that you need to be able to be seen and heard by others. You need to be able to be understood by others. And if your physical form comes off as too harsh or too intimidating, it's very difficult for you to deliver your message. In each incarnation, even if you are in a masculine body, you still have features that soften you in order for people to be able to feel safe to approach you, to hear you, to listen, to know what you're there to tell them. In this particular lifetime, you were a seer. You would help people medically. If somebody had an ailment of some sort, you would be able to tell them if there was a way to help or fix the ailment, or if there was going to be a death in the family. And you were very kind in how you delivered the information. You gathered ancestors, you spoke to the ancestors, you got information through ancestors. You've worked with ancestors for a very long time. You were in a place where there wasn't a lot of water, and this is significant because you were able to find sources of water when there could have been disastrous droughts and consequences for the people who lived in the village you were in. But you were able to find pockets or places of water that would help sustain the people for a time. This was the main reason why most of the people in the village loved you, just for that very simple reason. Not everybody subscribed to what you did and how you connected in, but at the very least, they were grateful for you when you found water for them. You are here to make people's lives easier, help give them the messages that maybe they cannot get themselves. Is there anything else we need to know about that lifetime? No. She has had various different incarnations where she has been the sayer, the seer, the medium, the messenger, prophet, all the various different words used to describe what she does. In some lifetimes, you were just there to observe and see, not necessarily to deliver the message. There were certain lifetimes where you were meant to deliver the message, and this is one of those lifetimes you are currently in where you know that you have to deliver messages, and you do. I'm going to pause there for a second. Do you have any questions about that?
Well, I guess the question is like, how can I draw on that past life as mediums to get better now, to develop more now?
We're going to get into that once we start clearing some of the chakras that are blocked, they're showing me that one of the specific reasons is allowing too much into your crown chakra. So they're saying, like, if you're able to be much more discerning in your energy, clearing your energy, be discerning about what energies you let in, that's all going to help, because there's some confusion that happens when you have other earthbound spirits around you.
Mhm.
And to be able to keep your energy clear, to set like really solid boundaries is
Mhm.
going to be important for you.
Here's the issue where I do actually have a lot of spirits speaking all the time.
Yeah.
And I write down what they say, but I don't know how to differentiate what is a spirit that I'm supposed to be listening to. Like maybe it's a spirit guide telling me something, or is it somebody just rambling through? I don't know how to tell the difference.
How you tell the difference is from the energy. Do you get your messages clairaudiently?
Most of them, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because it's so funny, because a lot of times my guides will deliver the messages to me in the way that you hear the messages, and I've been getting most of this information clairaudiently. The thing is that when you hear a message, I want you to close your eyes and connect into the energy of whoever is giving you that message,
Hmm.
and you'll be able to feel the vibration or the frequency of that energy. You'll
Hmm.
be able to instantly tell if it's an earthbound spirit, if it's a spirit guide, if it's an angel, if it's one of your guides. Have you met your spirit team yet?
I not sure. I mean,
Okay.
not that I could say yes. I'm not really sure.
Okay. That's something, if we have time, that we can do towards the end of the session. As what I would like to do is guide you through a little exercise. You can meet maybe a couple of your guides.
Hmm.
And when you meet your guides, you'll be able to feel the energy of who they are. When that energy comes in, you'll be able to recognize that energy and you'll know it's them
Okay.
versus another energy that is coming in, if that makes sense.
Yes.
All right, great. And then they're asking me to ask you, do you have any questions about the chakra scan that I did for you?
Only in regards to like I have intestinal difficulties, large intestinal difficulties, and if
Okay.
there's anything from a past life that would be causing that.
Yeah, they're saying to me that that's when we looked at the blockage that's in the sacral chakra, that is something that will have an effect on your organs in that particular area, and that would be the large intestine. So we'll take a look at that lifetime and see what we can do to clear it, okay?
Okay.
I want to take a look at what your life purpose is in this lifetime, if it's just more of the same or if there's something specific that you need to do. She is learning how to manage and navigate her gifts in new frequencies. She has had several lifetimes in the past couple of centuries that have been difficult for her. And these lifetimes were not lifetimes that she was meant to experience. The challenges she had were circumstance, not necessarily things she signed up for. Because I'm seeing that you're not a soul that signs up for lots and lots of challenge in order for you to grow and learn and ascend. You are one of those souls that stays pretty high vibrational in general. And I'm seeing that your soul is very adept at not holding on to psychic debris or holding on to lower negative energies, which is why you're able and adept at diving into the shadow and then diving into the different areas that you need to in order to help others, but then rise up to that beautiful divine energy level. All right. So there are a few things that we do need to clear in order to help you to move forward that have to do with those past lives. Then let's take a look at the lifetime that we need to clear for her solar plexus, please, and her sacral. We're going to do her sacral first. Her solar plexus is a different lifetime altogether, and it's not necessarily a blockage, but we're going to address that. Okay. Got it. Let's take a look at the sacral, please, and what happened in that lifetime. Okay, they're saying this is 3 lifetimes ago, and you have been really trying to overcome this for the last 3 lifetimes. And this lifetime will be the lifetime that you fully get rid of this energy, which is great. All right, let's take a look at what happened there, please. You had your gifts opened up from a young age in this lifetime. And this is how almost every life starts for you, where you have certain level of your mediumship gifts when you are a child. And as things progress and as you get older, sometimes those gifts diminish a bit, sometimes they stick around. In this particular lifetime, 3 lifetimes ago, you came across a particular religion that was quite harsh in its principles. It was quite harsh in its dogma, but for whatever reason, you gravitated towards it. I'm seeing that you didn't have parents in this lifetime, they both died. And at the age of 7, you found this religion and they sort of took you in. It was an orphanage of sorts. It wasn't like a formal orphanage run by the state, but it was an orphanage that was run by this religion. And the caveat was, in order to be in that orphanage, you had to follow the religious dogma and the rules and everything else. It felt energetically to you like they were very kind people, but you didn't know that they had some very distorted views of what it means to have the gifts that you had. While you were at this orphanage, you were caught a few times speaking to other spirits, doing things that they considered to be demonic in some way. And so they tried to cleanse you of it. And I'm saying that in almost quotation marks, like their way of cleansing you was actually torturing you. I'm seeing your eyes roll in the back of your head. They were doing something to induce seizures. There was I don't know, there's some sort of plant or medicine or something that induces seizures. And they thought that that was a way that they could rid you of this evil spirit or whatever they thought was taking over your body. I'm seeing you throw up a lot. Like there was a lot of purging, like they made you purge. You questioned what they were doing because you knew that your gifts were not harmful because you had them for quite some time and you knew the spirits you were talking to weren't harmful. Their way of explaining it to you kind of made you feel like maybe you don't know and maybe they know better, and started to believe them. It shut down the flow of that energy. You started to block it out. And actually, the fear that they instilled upon you was a really big helper in that. Like, fear is a fantastic way to get rid of somebody's spiritual gifts because that's one of the lowest energies you can be in outside of guilt or shame. And so the fear just kind of naturally allowed you to let go of those gifts. And this was a complete sort of wrong turn in this lifetime for you. Angels, can you tell me why this was lodged in her sacral chakra specifically? Because it had to do with the divine feminine. This particular religion saw women and divine feminine energies as receptacles for evil energies, that they were more vulnerable to evil energies than men were. And so they were very much about shutting down the feminine energy. Yeah, I'm seeing them making you dress in black clothes with like white collar, white cuffs all the way down to your ankles, all the way down to your wrists, all the way up to your neck, like completely covered, bonnet. So like you were mostly covered, and it was almost like a shift dress, so like it didn't show any waist, it didn't show anything. It was very like, well, they're saying it almost like a nun habit, but it wasn't a nunnery. That wasn't what this was. But a similar look, I suppose. You had some relief at a certain point because the spirits stopped talking to you. And once they stopped talking to you, then you had quiet, you had calm. You didn't have to worry about anything anymore. And you kind of liked it. Even though you went through this the horrific trauma of the torture that they placed upon your body, the end result was something that you were happy with, and how you lived out the rest of that life. What you have been doing for the last few lifetimes since then is trying to shed any restriction. You've been working through shedding any dogma, anything having to do with religion, having anything having to do with restricting your gifts. And this is part of the reason why you are having troubles connecting into your gifts now, is that fear, is that conditioning and that torture that happened to you back in that lifetime. Angels, can we clear this from her sacral chakra, please? Yes, it is being cleared as we are speaking. Okay. Is there any other clearing that needs to take place in order to help her move forward? No. Okay. Just her knowledge of this lifetime will help her to move forward. Okay. They're asking me to ask you, just out of curiosity, did you grow up in any particular religion in this lifetime?
Well, actually, I was just going to ask if I could tell you this. This is sort of amazing. When I was about 8, I actually saw my first spirit when I was 8, and I had my first past lifetime memory. When I was 8 and a half, 9, my parents went and joined a cult. and they gave away our house. They packed us up in a station wagon and drove across country. And we went to this area, actually it was in Wisconsin, where this cult had taken over a hospital, veterans hospital. And should I, you lived there and everybody else was the outside. And you had no contact with the outside. It was extremely religious, no music, no TV, long clothes, girls don't touch boys. It's just, and females were very strictly controlled. And I was very unhappy initially. After a while, that was what I knew. I think I survived because I found an old transistor radio, and I actually realized there was a real world out there. But what's really interesting is I developed an eating disorder, and I was purging and purging. And I think I was trying to get rid of all this stuff that was being put in me. So that was why I was really fascinated, is like, because I was thinking just the other day, like, why would I come back and go into that horrible, horrible thing that I spend the rest of my life trying to get away from and get it all out of me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very common occurrence when we incarnate in a lifetime that is similar to one that we had in the past. It is to remind us of the thing that happened before and to show us how to move through it and clear the energy of that previous lifetime. We will get echoes of the same lifetime in the way that, like, for example, you were saying you were purging, and like in that previous lifetime, you were purging. In this lifetime, your parents were the ones that brought you to this incredibly religious cult. And in the past, it was people who took you in and your parents weren't around. Like, there were differences.
Mm-hmm.
But in this lifetime, it was clear that you were able to have some more autonomy in how you were thinking and realizing that, oh, wait a minute, I've done this before. I don't want to do this again. And that's how we change. That's how we change the pattern. So then you said you found a transistor radio and then realized there was a world outside. How did you get out?
I just left. I just left. Yeah. I just left. I didn't speak with my parents until I guess I was 51. I mean, many, many years, because I didn't want. The way I saw reality and the way they saw reality were two different things, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I maintained contact with my sister, but ultimately down the road, I did meet up with them again. We did repair our relationship in that we don't hold anger toward each other.
Right.
And we just don't talk about that because we will never see it. They just like, it's like to them, it's just like, oh, they disconnected from that part of their lives. They just retired. They were older, very old by the time they got out. And
Right.
lived very sedate lives. And I picked up, I went to college, I got a PhD. It's like, I want the world. I want the world,
Yeah.
You know.
And that's exactly what you needed to do. And that's what you were trying to break through. And that's why when I saw the sacral chakra, remember I said that half of it was clear, but the other half was still stuck.
Yeah.
And like the half that you cleared, that was all you're doing. That was your clearing that you did in this lifetime with how you moved through that. The second part of the clearing is literally just from that past life. You needed to be aware of that past life.
No, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, you're done with that. It's no longer going to happen. Yep.
I am done.
Amazing. Good. Well, let's take a look at the solar plexus chakra. Solar plexus chakra was saying, I don't have anything to say. Let's take a look at that and where that's coming from. Okay, so this is coming from a lifetime, a long, long time ago. We're talking like 60, they're saying 60, 70 lifetimes ago.
Wow.
And it was a period of time where there were a lot of people claiming to be witches, seers, what they would call soothsayers, prophets, and where you're used to being like the only one in the whole village and everybody just kind of listened to you. All of a sudden, you started incarnating in this period of time where like everybody was doing it. And you were like, what is happening right now? Like, okay, well, I don't know what to do, but okay. You saw the energy discrepancies in a lot of these people. And this happens in every cycle of up leveling when it comes to the Earth's ascension. There are souls that start to ascend, that get to their ascension point where they start to really connect in with their spiritual gifts and everything is going really well. And they graduate onto that next level. Some of those spirits come back, some of them go to different planets. It just depends. But there's always a cycle of critical mass, if you will, of people having their spiritual awakenings and waking up to their spiritual gifts. We are in one of those moments right now. And at the time, you could see the people who were, I'm not going to say disingenuous, but the people who maybe were not as far along on the journey as they thought they were. And you really did try to help. You tried to help those people to see where maybe they needed to do some more work. And those people would say to you that you didn't know what you were talking about, that clearly you were still stuck in some old energy. It was just kind of one of those things where you just kind of threw your hands up. You're like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm just not even going to bother because clearly these people don't want to listen and they're not seeing what I'm seeing. And you have that unique perspective because your soul energy is on such a higher frequency to begin with that others won't be able to see the things that you see. And I want to explain that a little bit because there are a lot of souls out there that have this ability, and it's a choice, but it's a particular type of soul signature. If you are the type of soul signature that is going to be a lighthouse, let's say, you're the one that's allowing people to see the light through your light shining. Those particular souls have a tendency to not incarnate in really dark lifetimes, or they try not to anyway, because it really does dim the light and they can then cease to be the lighthouse. There are certain souls who don't incarnate on this planet very often. And the reason why they do that is because they don't want all the psychic debris. They want to be able to stay very light in order to anchor the light onto the planet. And your soul is similar to that, where you don't want to have a lot of the really tough experiences that people might have on this planet because you feel like if you did, it would prevent you from doing the things that you are meant to do here. Then what is it that we need to clear? Is there anything that we need to clear for her in the solar plexus based on this information? No. It will clear on its own, but it's just something that she needs to be aware of, that just because other people are saying the same thing doesn't mean that her frequency is the same, because her frequency is unique to her. I feel like I want to ask about the book that she's writing and the ideas that she said were coming in, and like the fact that she has no shortage of ideas, but she wants maybe a more clear vision as to which ideas are the ones that she needs to develop. She has an idea of the ones that she wants to develop, but she has these other visions of other things that pop in. And what we recommend you do is identify whether that vision or idea is meant for the current book you're writing or if that's for a future book that you're writing. If you have an idea that comes in, we're going to suggest that you essentially say or ask your guides, is this something that I need to do or use for this particular book that I'm writing now, or is this for a future time?
Can I just ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe, well, actually, it was about a year ago, not quite a year ago. I had my first ever life between life hypnotist session, and I guess I was expecting certain things. Like I know many partials of many lifetimes and lessons I need to work on, and but I guess I went in, and I wouldn't say I was cocky, but it's just like this is what I expected. Like the consult would be like in like a university classroom, maybe like an office or something like that. What happened just blew me away. I had never been in that sort of situation where I've been hypnotized, where I was talking to her, describing it, but I was also there. I mean, it was sort of interesting. But what happened is, she took me to like this little good place in nature, which I chose. And then I was there, and a gray man came, and I went with him to a capsule, like a translucent capsule, and laid down, and we went to this place. And I went there, and there were all aliens. And I kept saying to him, there's all aliens here. There's all aliens here. I'm in a place with all, I was like overwhelmed. Like, this is my console, And as I was talking, it's like they were aware I was getting too distracted by them, because they were different colors and shapes and stuff. That like a curtain fell down. Like, I couldn't see them. I knew they could see me. I knew they were there, but I wasn't supposed to be gawking at them. And there was just one man standing in the corner who was sort of like, light brown skin, gray hair down to here, but cut square around. And he was doing something with his hands. I turned and I looked, and like I was directed to a different segment, which hadn't been there before, but it's like a little room formed inside a room. And there were some people there, and there's one person who was going, no, no, no. And like I got sense like an adolescent or almost a child saying, I don't want to go to school or something, you know. And I felt it in me, and I knew that was me. And I thought, oh my God, I'm an alien. I kept saying to her, I'm an alien. I'm an alien. I had a list of questions I was supposed to answer in my council, but now I have all the other questions. So he kept saying, well, the first question is, why am I here? And they showed me a picture of my front lawn, and there's these children holding sparklers. And I adopted 4 special needs kids from across the world. And I thought, oh, I'm here to help them see their sparkles. Okay, I can be like, I saw how much that person didn't want to come here. And I thought, I would come for my kids. That's all. I'd do it for my kids. Okay. Anyway, since then, I've been like nights, weeks with my lights on at night because I'm afraid they're going to come get me. And that didn't happen. I had to remind myself, like, I went willingly with that gray man. I went willingly there. You know, nobody pushed me to do anything. And since then, I've struggled with, do I have a soul that's from a different planet? Because I've been to Earth many times. Am I Earth person? And I just happen to have an alien council, or I am an alien person who just came to Earth many times. And I was thinking about that. And then I got the clear audience, which I never know who it is from, but it said backyard. And I thought, oh, it's sort of like Earth is like my backyard. Like, it's so familiar to me, you know? Yeah. But what is your take on all that?
There are souls that are very familiar with Earth. And I personally am one of those souls. I am one of the souls that helped create Earth. There are millions of souls that helped create Earth, and they are the souls that are very connected to Earth. The reason why you're able to anchor in that really high frequency light is because you are not connected to Earth in that way. You're familiar with it because you've been incarnating here for quite some time, and it does feel like home to you in a certain way, but in a certain way you understand that it's not. And you feel that and you understand that, but you don't exactly know how to put that into words. The fear that you have surrounding aliens has to do with the fear that Earth herself has put onto aliens. The question I'm going to ask you first before I go any further, when you were sitting there with all of the aliens that were in your in between life, were you afraid of them?
No.
Did they feel peaceful?
Yes.
So I want you to anchor that in, because the fear that you feel of them coming to get you or anything like that, that is an ingrained collective fear of collective consciousness here on this planet.
Okay.
From what I've seen, and keep in mind, I mean, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sessions, but what I know is a tiny, tiny drop in an ocean. But what I have seen is that we at this time as humans are the lowest form of energy, are the lowest form of being in the immediate universe. I can't speak for maybe other dimensions or other places like that. There might be other beings and other planets that are lower frequency than we are, but we are in fact the lowest frequency. And it's because of that that we require a lot of help from a lot of different places. If you want to talk about soul origin, we can take a look at what your soul origin is.
I would love that.
Typically, if you want to boil it down to the simplest of terms, soul origin is divine source energy. Everybody comes from divine source energy, but it's how you were formed as an individualized soul is what we're going to look at. Okay. Let me see what they can show me about that. They're trying to give me the information. They're saying that it's hard for me because I don't have this experience. They're trying to give me a close approximation of what I can understand. So give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, angels, is that a portal of some sort? Yes. Okay. What they're showing me is divine source energy as a whole. And then I see a portal, and this portal is opening and closing. And as the portal opens and closes, a different soul pops out, so to speak. It's almost like a soul is being birthed out from this portal. And that is how you were birthed into the individualized soul that you are. Coming through this portal, it's a transformational portal. It transforms the energy from divine source energy to an individualized drop of divine source energy, if you will. The way that they're showing it to me is exactly that analogy that I used earlier, which is like a drop in the ocean. It's like one drop of divine source energy for each soul that it has been creating through this portal. It is a, for lack of a better term, like a leak in divine energy, and it's through this portal. And it's just constantly dripping out new souls through this portal. And each one of these new souls goes to the nearest planet. And the nearest planet is this place near where you went to in your in between life. It is a high vibrational planet, crystalline in nature, and incredibly dense with energy, crystalline in nature, and not dense necessarily in physicality, but dense in energy. There are beings that live in this environment, and all of your souls work together as a whole, like different pieces of a puzzle. You don't have a soul family per se, as how we would describe soul family here on this planet, but every single soul that is part of this portal, if you will, and who incarnated on this initial crystalline planet, they are all your soul family. They are differently shaped and differently proportioned based on what their individual functions are. And they have many more functions on that planet than we do here on Earth. There are about 1 million more functions of souls on that planet than we have here on Earth. Functionalities that we don't even understand or wouldn't be able to even comprehend. They operate in unison but separately. They operate individually for their own particular energy, frequency, and talent. Not many of them want to leave that planet because it is such a harmonious way of living. They do have sort of a reincarnation thing going on there, but it's very different from here, meaning that it's almost like you don't quite ever die and you don't quite ever get birthed as a being on that planet. It's always like you're almost in this permanent state of in between and transition. You might have an existence or a lifetime that, let's say, for example, would be like 50 years. But then once that 50 years is up, you just transition or morph into the next being that you're going to be without having to fully let go of the physical body, because it's at such a high frequency that it doesn't really need to be discarded. It's almost just sort of a recycling or a retooling of the energy. And it's a very beautiful process. And people on this planet, when they reincarnate, it's a very jarring process, and it's very hard to go through, which is part of the reason why you were throwing a tantrum like you didn't want to come back here. The problem is that for a high frequency being such as yours, once you make the decision to incarnate on Earth, you kind of have to complete the cycle. It's like starting a job and not finishing it. Like you have to finish it in order to leave. It's a contract of sorts. And for the most part, you have been okay with being here. But there have been times when you were like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And your counsel is understanding, but they also have never done it. They've never been here on Earth, except for maybe a couple. You're in the minority in terms of how many of your particular type of beings have actually decided to come here on Earth. And so they can understand it based on what they see and when they get the sort of reports back from people like you who have experienced it. But it's hard to know definitively when you haven't experienced it fully.
That's funny. I felt like saying, sort of like flashing there, and I felt like saying, but I did it the last time. So it's somebody else's turn.
Totally.
But tell me, if there's not a lot of reincarnation on that planet, would that mean that there's not a lot of Akashic records there? I mean, could somebody with your training read those Akashic records, or would those from the planet ever get merged into the ones you're reading?
It's all the same type of information. The Akashic field is everywhere in the universe. It's not just here, which is how I'm able to get this information.
Right.
They serve slightly different purposes, though, because of the way that the energy shifts and morphs and changes on that planet, the amount of information that is necessary in the records is minimal. The more density there is on a planet, the more recording needs to be had in order to remember what needs to be done. I'm not sure if you watch Doctor Who.
No.
No? Okay. They're showing me that as an example because I adore Doctor Who. It's one of my favorite TV shows. The way that Doctor Who regenerates it, and he is an alien in the show. He basically has one form, and when he has used up the energy in that form, he just changes into a different person. He changes into another form. After he changes into that form, it takes a minute for him to remember who he was. After he goes into that new generation of being, he can now recall, oh, yeah, okay, when I was in that previous iteration of myself, I did that. Now I remember that. Oh, okay, I remember when I did that in the previous iteration before that. Like it takes him a little bit to remember all of the things because technically he is a brand new being with all of the memories still intact, but it takes him a bit of time. That's what they're showing me in terms of the planet that you come from. That's kind of the general reason why the records are around is just because it contains the information of your past experiences. And if you happen to need to connect to them, you can, but it's not as difficult to connect to them as it is here. They're much more of a free-flowing, energetic receptacle of information, and the amount of information is not as dense as it is here.
Right, right.
Because I have heard in various times and places that eventually here on this planet we won't need the Akashic records because we're going to remember any and all past lives. And I feel like that is slightly misleading because of what they're showing me now. So I feel like, yes, the records will always exist and the information will always be there, but the amount of information that we're going to need from them will diminish.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, I love history, and it's like I would like to preserve, make sure the records are preserved because that's where we come from.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that is going to be necessary and available for a time, but there's a difference between having a story be a story, let's say in a novel, versus having a story be in a history book. And the way that they're describing it to me is when certain things in the records are no longer necessary, it is because we as a collective will never go back to that particular energetic space ever again. Let's say, for example, we eradicate the need or the desire for war. If we do that as a collective society, then the need to access the information in the records about war will cease to exist. We will cease to be able to be accessed in that same way because that energy does not need to be resurfaced again.
Right.
However, could it be told as a story, a fantastical story, if you will? Sure, that might still be available from an Akashic Records standpoint. It could still be in the archives, if you will. But once the energy dissipates and is no longer necessary, it doesn't need to be brought back to the surface again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But I think at least in the archives, we know what we're capable of.
Yeah,
at times.
absolutely. Well, and keep in mind that here on Earth, we have this veil of forgetfulness that we do, and this is on purpose because of the trajectory that we're on. So, for example, on the planet that you come from, that veil of forgetfulness is not very forgetful. Let's put it that way. You do remember much more in the beings that you are on that planet.
But I used to beg the universe, I want to remember everything. And I just, because I want to be certain, that this comes back from growing up in a cult. I don't want to make sure that it's not this elaborate sort of thing put out there that we all believe because there's something inside of us aching to believe, But I actually was in a class a week ago and I had a past life. I went into a past life and I had life in Rome when I was a boy. I was 12. And it was actually a really good life. And it was one of the few really, really good lives. And I had great feelings going into the memory and during the whole hypnotist session. And then I got to my death And it was very tragic. I was only 12. My arm was ripped off. I saw it just hanging there and then falling. And then there was a light that came to my room, and I kept saying, I'm not going to go with you. And it was just, I came out of it with like so heavy and so much grief. I walked around for a few days saying, that beautiful lifetime is gone because now I'm hung up on how I died so young. And then I thought, took me another day or two. I thought, no, it's like you just have to grieve it. You just have to grieve it. Now that you remember it, now you have to grieve it. You know?
Yeah. Did you ask your guides why you needed to see that?
Well, I did. What happened is I'm in a class, and sort of part of it, it was a past life memory retrieval type class. And they just said pick a lifetime. And I picked one that I know was happy. I was always drawn to Rome, and it's sort of weird because I'm Jewish. I'm not even Catholic. And I just always drawn to Rome, always drawn to Rome. To the point when I was in Greece, I got drawn to Roman cemeteries. And I went there and there was just bubbles of joy. So I thought, hey, this is a good lifetime. I'll just go with that one. And it was a lot of really great memories there. I had a wonderful mom, but it was just the death was tragic. I got left with that. And I thought, oh, because if you remember all your lifetimes, you have to go through those feelings and then you got to grieve them.
Yes, 100%. And that's exactly why they showed that to you when they did. Because
Yeah.
the thing is that our Akashic guide is actually just a portion of our own soul that is
Mm-hmm.
on the other side. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Our Akashic guide is not going to show us anything that we don't need to see. And clearly, you needed to see that for that reason. You were asking the question, why can't I see all of my lifetimes, everything laid out before me? Well, that's why,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of trauma and a lot of experiences that we don't need to resurface, things that we have already gone through that we don't need to relive, the lessons that we've learned that don't need to come up again. It's kind of what they were just saying to me about the Akashic records and the other planet. It's like, or if we transcend something like war, those energies don't need to come back up again, because if you've already transcended them, you will never go back to those energies again. And to bring them back up is actually almost reactivating that energy within the field.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people want to know certain things about their past lives, but if it doesn't serve you, they're not going to tell me. And that has happened before, where I've been in session with clients and they've asked a certain thing, and
Mm-hmm.
my guides will tell me, absolutely not. They're not meant to know that.
Yeah.
In regards to what you said about feeling into the information as you get it and trying to know what is true and what is not,
Right.
I have a particular way of going about that.
Okay.
I always say I am willing to be proven wrong at any given moment. If I am connecting to my guides, if I get some information,
Mm-hmm.
if I get some other information later on down the road that is basically negating that, or maybe is a bigger picture of that information I originally got that kind of negates it, whatever it happens to be, I
Mm-hmm.
am willing to change my belief system about it. One of the ways in which I try to stay open is to make sure that my belief systems are able to crumble if they need to. Okay.
Yes.
The other aspect is when it comes to being in a cult, cults have a tendency to say our way is the only way.
Mm-hmm.
You must do this, you must do that. It's
Right.
this way or no way. This is evil, this is not. It's all very black and white. Okay?
Right.
And the universe isn't black and white. There's a whole lot of gray. I've always said to people, if you are connecting to some information that is basically saying this is the only way, you might be wary of that information. If you are connecting to information where you feel a physical response in your body that says no, this is not true, believe that. And that's another way when we were talking about discerning between your guides giving you messages and maybe just some random earthbound spirits giving you messages. That
Mm-hmm.
is another way to connect into that. It's like, is this true for me? Does this feel true for me? Or does
Mm-hmm.
it not? Does this information feel good or does it not? It's an exploration.
The thing is, like, even in the spiritual community, like podcasters that I would listen to, now there's a sense like there's 3D and there's 5D, and I'm going to be 5D. And if you're going to be 3D, you're going to lose out. It's sort of like we're the chosen ones because we're 5D. And I think this is really scary.
And that is, in my opinion, false spirituality
Mm-hmm.
masking in division. Real connection with spirit and with the divine is unifying, not dividing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if there are people stuck in the 3D, if they are stuck in their wounding, if they are stuck in their psychic debris, we all love them the same. And there is no, we're going to get left behind kind of situation. I really do get a little irritated at the fear mongering that happens in the spiritual community. And I had a conversation with a client recently, and he was asking me about one of the channels that I had done. And he said, my intuition was telling me that the channel that you were doing was not telling the whole story, or let's say it was too fluffy. It wasn't saying the whole story of what's going to happen. And I told him, I'm being told the information that I need to deliver. And to the light workers out there that are doing the work, they need to not be in fear. And so I am going to deliver the information directly to them and to the people that need to hear it, of what their experience is going to be and what they need to do based on what is happening right now in this moment. It does not serve to fearmonger and to give information that is not pertinent to them personally, right? There can be a bit of a, this is not going to happen to me, but it might happen to you kind of situation as it pertains to everything that is going on in the world. But that has to do with our experiences in the Akashic Records. So, for example, if you have had the experience of going to war over and over and over again, and you've died over and over and over again, and you have had that experience and you've transcended that experience and you no longer need to have that experience, you will no longer be in a war ever again in your incarnation. You will no longer be in a situation where you'll be drafted into some sort of army or something. You know what I mean? I have seen that throughout the many sessions that I've done, where if you've gone through those lessons on this planet, you don't need to repeat them, and you won't repeat them provided you stay on your path. I would use your discernment when you're listening to any practitioner. I don't care who it is, including myself. If there is any information that says to you, this doesn't feel right, listen to it. Okay. And it's not to say that any practitioner is going to have 100% of their information is going to be fear mongering and bad. Like, they might have some really great information in certain places, but they are potentially operating out of their own fear as well. We're human, we're not perfect beings, obviously.
Are you like out of the Akashic Records now? If I could ask questions about certain people in my life, would that be a possibility, or did you go out already?
Oh, no, we're still in.
Oh, okay. Can I give you a couple names and see what you get?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. No longer on Earth. I just wonder what his relationships have been to me in the past.
Okay. And who is he to you in this life?
Very good friend.
He's patting your head like a little sister, and he's saying that he has been your guide for quite some time. And by guide, I mean he has been your guide on this planet, on this earth. He is one of the souls that has been on this planet for a long time, almost as long as I have. And you needed a soul who really knew Earth really, 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 really well, like really well, to be able to help you and guide you on this journey that you have decided to embark on. They're showing it to me almost like an analogy of, like, he's your camp counselor. He's your camp counselor that he was helping you in many, many lifetimes to be able to navigate this life that you're in. He understands you and your energy for reasons that I cannot see, but they're showing me that it's like he has been to your planet before. He's not native to there, but he's been there before. So he understands your energy. And because of that, he is able to help you and others on your journey here. So yeah, he's been in almost every single incarnation you've had on this planet. Not all of them, but almost all of them. You have definitely been different people to each other. You have been related in family. You have been friends. You have been acquaintances, coworkers. Interestingly enough, you have not been romantically involved.
I mean, he passed away, but we're like this for 44 years, like this. My best buds. People were so surprised, but I'm gay. And I just, that aspect was never there, and it never came up between us. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like every year. And I kept saying to him in my mind, look, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Maybe in a different lifetime, but it looks like we never did.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that like you have decided that having any sort of romantic entanglements would complicate things in your soul relationship together. It's just much easier for you to stay brother and sister or good friends or acquaintances or whatever. It's trying to create an energy that is symbiotic and helpful, and romantic relationships can become volatile at certain points and create dissonance between the connections. Yeah, that is something that you have made a very conscious decision in each incarnation to not be romantically involved.
And then I would like to ask my daughters.
Yeah, she is from your planet, and I'm seeing her as very, very tiny. That indicates to me that she has not incarnated on this planet very often. This is a pretty new experience for her, and you're all helping her through that. She's such a sweet and pure soul. She has a hard time with the harshness of this earth. Like, she is very empathic and has a hard time with the energies around her. But yeah, you have been helping her through this. How old is she now?
I think she's 26 or 27.
Okay, yeah. You did know each other on your planet, which is why she chose you as a parent in this lifetime, to be able to understand and learn from you of how to navigate this journey. Oh, interesting. And I am seeing you having a very serious conversation with her in between lives, where you were saying to her soul, like, are you certain you want to come to Earth? Are you certain? Because this is not easy. This is going to be tough for you. Like, you laid it out for her very, very clearly, and she still decided to do it. Did you have any other specific questions about her?
Yeah, right now she's her situation is I adopted her when she was 5 from Sierra Leone. My other children I adopted as infants or babies, and so they grew up with a single caretaker, and she did not. She has reactive attachment disorder, which is really hard. She and I do have a bond. It's not as what I would like it to be. It's not like with my other kids because she's afraid to get close. She can't. She gets scared and pushes people away when she gets close. So sort of go bong, bong, bong. We both know we love each other, but we can't really. If there's any way that you see in down the road that we can actually have, that we can in some way have a deeper relationship.
The challenge with that, and this is one of the reasons why they asked me to ask you this, because when I was saying that she reacts to the outside world and the harshness of it, when we feel like we're being attacked from all sides, we insulate and we cocoon. And that means not letting anyone in. It doesn't matter who it is. And so that's kind of where she's at. It's like she's just in this survival mode. That work is up to her to be able to open her heart enough to let somebody in. And that's going to be the work that she's going to have to do. I'm hearing gentle touch, doing what you've continued to do, being there for her, reassuring her, being consistent. All of those things are important for her. And whether or not she shows you, it is helping. One of the things that I would like to do right now is take you through a little meditation. You can meet some of your guides and feel what their energy feels like.
Okay.
I want you to close your eyes and go back to that beautiful sacred space of yours, that place in nature. And I would like you to notice off in the distance, there are some orbs of light. And can you identify how many orbs are there?
3.
So I want you to recognize as the orbs are getting closer and closer to you, maybe one is going to stand out a little bit brighter than the others. And as that one orb is standing out, that is going to be the first one that you will connect to. This will be your primary guide, your primary energy that you connect with when you are connecting in with your guides. As this orb gets closer and closer, I want you to recognize what color it is. What colors are within this orb? Is it translucent? Is it opaque? Is it bright? Does it feel soft? Does it feel strong? What is the consistency? Does it feel familiar? Does it feel close?
Yeah, it was orangish, yellowish, orangish. But then it got close, and I'm not sure what I'm saying now. Inside of something.
What does it feel like to you?
Sort of like being in a room, that's enclosed, not sort of like padded, but I don't mean it in a mean way. But I'm the only one in here.
Okay. Is the energy almost surrounding you?
Well, I think I went into the energy. I think I went into the orb.
You're in the orb now. Okay, got it.
I'm in the orb now.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
But it doesn't look like there's anybody in here. Just me.
Okay.
So
What I would like you to do is I would like you to ask the energy that surrounds you now if it can identify itself for you.
I'm just getting an image of an eye opening, like, inside just an eye opening, but not
Okay.
a body, just an eye. Like, oh,
Okay. Can you ask this energy what it's here for?
I'm not sure why. Safety.
I'm hearing this is your protective energy.
Okay. Funny because it's just an image of an eye. It's like the expression, keep an eye out.
Yeah. So this energy is your eyes. It is your vision, your protection. Can you feel this energy?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have to stop and listen. Can I feel it? I'm not aware of it otherwise.
Okay. Is this energy an energy that will be giving you messages?
I'm not sure.
Can you ask it?
Yes. But my sense is that's not the major. It can. My sense is it can, but it's not like the major thing.
Okay, great. You can ask this energy if there are any other bits of information it would like to tell you.
Image of a mouth talking. I'm not sure whether it's saying I can talk to it or it can talk to me, or both.
I'm getting that you can ask for this energy to be with you at any time for protection. You can also ask for it to give you some form of a name if you choose to name it. It's easier for you to connect to that energy and ask for the protection.
Raymond.
Love it.
Isn't it funny, Raymond? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Raymond.
He's laughing because it's such a human name and he's anything but they're delighted in that. So okay, so then we're gonna move on to the other orb that is the brightest for you right now. And what colors or feelings are you getting from that orb?
Well, it's funny. It's like, this is funny. Like kids, like they're like the Saturday programs or programs when they watch cartoons where they have these action figures, but they become like this and they have fire and everything going from their nostrils and stuff. That's what I got. Is like the orb becomes like a strong person with fire going up and down.
Can you ask this guide what function they are here to perform for you?
I get another form of protection, but it's not like a passive protection. It's like,
maybe actually sorry, not defense, but maybe offense, like fending off old energies or other energies that don't belong. Yeah. Can this energy give you a name that you can call them?
That's funny. You said Raymond.
Raymond 1 and Raymond 2.
Raymond and Raymond.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. He said we can call him Ray. Okay, that can be Ray.
Okay.
Raymond and Ray.
All right. Then let's take a look at the third orb.
This is female, light and airy, sort of like even having a hard time touching the ground. There's like some blue in there, some blue energy, some bluish, purplish energy. I'm Raymond.
They are hilarious. They've got some good senses of humor right there, right?
Yeah, so they'll call me Raymond. I'm Raymond. She's like the fire, like the energy, like to get up and go, like throw your spirit into doing something, like your passion. Is that what she is?
She is, for lack of a better term, like a muse. She is someone who is there to help inspire you. And she is the one that encourages you and helps you move forward in things when you feel stuck. She is the main guide that gives you guidance. She is the voice that you hear. Ray and Raymond aren't necessarily going to give you a whole ton of messages. Their function is basically your bodyguards. Connect into her energy as often as you can so you're familiar with her energy and her voice and how she speaks to you. Then you can know who it is that's speaking to you. Are all of these energies from your home planet?
We're the female, yes. The two males, I'm not sure. They're more solid. I think they're more earth type.
Yeah. Their protection is able to be more solid and strong because of their earth connection. You can always go back and do this meditation and meet more of your guides, because I know you have more than just 3, but those are the 3 that wanted to come up today. Feel free to do that meditation again another time if you feel like you want to chat with somebody. If you're getting messages coming in, if you want to do that meditation and say, okay, what are you and who are you that is giving me this message, then you can start to determine, okay, I can feel the energy of this. Feels like a crossed over human. This feels like one of my guides. This feels like you can start to really identify those differences in energies. Okay. All right. We are going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you so much to Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for guiding us through the records today. The records are closed. The records are closed. The records are closed. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. How do you feel?
Happy.
Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, I got most of my questions answered and a lot more stuff as well. So that's
Amazing.
great.
I'm so glad to hear it. All right. Bye, you too.
Bye.
I would like to thank Tessa so much for allowing us to record her session for the podcast. I always love when we get brand new versions of how souls are born. This is something that fascinates me in terms of how each soul is sort of individualized from divine source energy and then what their journey is after that. This session was no different in my curiosity as well as my feelings of absolute awe in how the universe works. And I do have some follow-up questions for my guides regarding Tessa's soul origin. And just to remind you, the way in which her soul was birthed was through a portal in the universe that just sort of drips out souls constantly. It's like a little drip in a faucet that is coming through this portal. And a lot of times the guides will give me these types of analogies so I can understand. And this is the one thing that I want to make very clear is that oftentimes there isn't a reference for us to understand in our experience here on Earth. So my guides will give me an approximation of what it's like so I can have some semblance of understanding of what this is. But I'm going to ask Akula, my Akashic guide, and I'm hearing that I need to ask Archangel Metatron as well, to expand upon this definition or this example of how Tessa's soul was born into the universe. Yes, we certainly give you an approximation, and that is the only way that we can really describe how this particular functionality happens as it pertains to Tessa's soul being birthed out of a portal. We will give you some more information that will help you to understand a bit further what the function of this is and the way in which it operates. The portal serves as a transmutation space. It creates a soul from divine source energy that is changed automatically. Most of the time when soul families break off from divine source energy, they have a tendency to break off completely in their divine source energy as it is on a collective whole. And then their individual experiences that they have are the catalysts that shape the differences within those souls. It creates the learning, it creates the different facets of a diamond, if you will. Whereas if you are born through a portal such as this, and we would say that it's not really a portal, it is more of an energetic space that has been created by the universe in order to facilitate transmutation, where the soul will change upon being created. And that is the difference. The frequency is being changed. If you can imagine, it's like taking a couple of different molecules that you have. Let's take H2O and transforming it into water. Prior to it being water, you have hydrogen and you have oxygen, and you combine them together and it creates something different. And that is what this transmutation portal is doing. It is creating different types of souls. It can be calibrated to create a specific type of soul. And this is to the discretion of the soul that is being born. So yes, you do have control over how you are going to be born if you are going through this process. Not every soul has a choice. Some souls are born through cosmic events, and that is not necessarily a choice. It is something that simply happens. But this particular type of birthing, if you will, is something that happens because a part or a portion of divine source energy has decided to be a certain way. And so this portal will create the exact right circumstances to create something new on the other side. Yes, there will be others that will be exactly like that soul, as we described with Tessa. She has other souls that came through at around the same time that she did, and they are all very similar or very much the same energetically. They have very specific reasons for being what they are, and they had it in their plan prior to being birthed as a soul to go to certain planets, to be in certain places. And in order to do so, you needed to have a particular frequency. Oftentimes, if you are a soul that is just born from divine source energy, you are pure divine source energy, in order to go to certain planets and incarnate on those planets, there are certain things that you must do before you are able to go be on those planets. And that has to do with the energetic resonance. It has to do with the energetic frequencies and the things that you've learned and all of those different facets that we speak of. So if you need several facets in order to be on a particular planet, you might have to go and have some experiences elsewhere in order to gain those facets, so then you can incarnate on that other planet. And this is something that we are going to talk about in terms of each planet, because one of the other questions that Annette had was regarding why Earth started off as a lower vibrational planet. And we will correct that statement in saying that it's not that Earth started off as a lower vibrational planet. Earth started off as pure divine source energy, just like every other thing in the universe that is created starts off as pure divine source energy. It is the experiences that it has that creates the facets and the differences in energy. The way that Earth was set up was so there could be different experiences here. We have often talked about the duality on this planet. We have often talked about the fact that you can reincarnate on this planet. You can change bodies. And that is not the case in every single place. As we talked about in this session, there are certain planets where you don't change physical form. Your form may transition into something slightly different than what you are, or you might keep your physical form for millennia. There are so many different types of experiences to be had, and Earth is the shortest experience that you can have. So when you incarnate here in a body, it is quite frankly the shortest amount of time that you are in a physical body, and then you start the death and rebirth process. This is the reason why oftentimes we talk about being stuck in the cycle of karma. It's not that you're stuck in a cycle of karma necessarily. It is that you need to complete your cycle on Earth in order to go somewhere else where you have decided to go. You can exit your experience on this planet anytime you choose. There is not a mandatory completion that you have to do based on what the universe wants or what your energy wants. But if you are trying to accomplish a certain thing, then yes, you must complete that cycle. This is why we talked about this with her daughter, and she was asking her daughter in the in-between life, are you certain you want to come to Earth and accomplish this? Because you will have to finish what you started. And that is true from one perspective. You do have to finish what you start. However, if your soul at any time just decides that you do not want to do this, you can stop. There is a transition period, though. There are consequences to that action because essentially your energy has been intermingled with Earth's energy, with all of the experiences that you've had here thus far. And sometimes that energy will need to be cleared and cleansed in order for you to be able to move on somewhere else. But maybe your energy is in a place where the next planet you want to go to can't house your energy because you haven't finished with that particular project or that particular lesson or that particular facet of your soul. So everything is connected from that perspective. It is about transitioning from one place to the next and becoming an energetic frequency match to each place. And once you become the energetic match, that is when you are able to incarnate on that particular planet or in that place. Okay, great. So you're saying that Earth became sort of a lower frequency planet because of its inhabitants, correct? Okay, because of the things that have happened on Earth. That is correct. Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Is there any other information you would like to give us about souls incarnating from one place to the next? No. Okay. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about aliens, please? Yes. The next subject we would like to address have to do with aliens, or what you call aliens. There is a lot of fear surrounding that word, and we mentioned this in the session. When Tessa had exclaimed that she was an alien, she was absolutely correct. Annette has had another session recently with a client where we discovered that there is another dimension where there was an alien ship that came to Earth, and they came in peace. They came to help. They came with technology, and they came with love. And unfortunately, in that other dimension, that version of Earth was in a lower vibration. And essentially, they killed every single one of those aliens on that ship without question. Didn't even try to speak with them, just killed them outright. The problem with that is that that particular alien race doesn't have a reincarnation process in place because they don't need to, because no one on their planet kills anyone else. And because everyone on that planet continues living in their bodies as long as they choose to. Because of this, their souls had nowhere else to go. Because of this, their souls started incarnating in human bodies. And when they decided to do this, they decided to do that in this dimension, because this was the highest vibrational planet of Earth in any dimension. So yes, you have souls that you would consider to be aliens incarnating in human bodies. Absolutely. It's been happening for a very long time. And actually, the amount of souls that are what you would call aliens highly outnumber the souls that you would consider to be simply human incarnations. There are very few souls that have just been human. Most souls, even if they were birthed here on Earth, so to speak, in other words, their very first incarnation as a soul was here on Earth, most of those souls have gone on to other planets and had other experiences and come back. This is why we want to impart upon you the idea that the word alien has become distorted. It's become heavy. It's become laden with fear. And we can assure you that there is nothing to be fearful about. There are people who have experiences with aliens, and this is something that we do not want to diminish, but it is their fear that colors the experiences that they have. There are also other experiences that people have had with aliens that have been unpleasant, that have been scary, that have been not of the highest light. But these have happened in other dimensions. These have happened in dreams. These have happened in other states. So oftentimes when people are connecting to these types of things, they are connecting to their past. They are connecting to things that have happened prior to the elevation of the universe as a whole. We do talk about, on occasion, those other planets that were lower vibrational than Earth, and there were many of them. Most of them have destroyed themselves by now. There are a lot of other factors that come into play as it pertains to what you particularly call aliens. Most other beings in other planets and other galaxies and dimensions basically want to keep to themselves because they have their experience on that planet for a reason. There is no reason for them to go anywhere else when they can simply decide to disinhabit that physical body, go back into the soul, and then travel elsewhere as a soul and reincarnate on a different planet. So from that perspective, they don't actually even need ships. The only reason why other beings from other planets would go to other planets is for the experience in a different body. So if you can imagine a different type of vessel living on another planet, a higher vibrational planet, such as the ship that we spoke about. The reason why they wanted to come here in that other dimension is because they wanted to help us. They wanted to give us information, but then also they wanted to feel what it felt like to be in their physical bodies on this planet. It is experience and experience only that drove them. There are other things in the universe that we are not going to talk about at this time because we cannot simply cover everything that is going on in the universe with every single being. But this is the basic information that you need. And this is the information that will help you understand the concept of aliens and what it means. And we would much prefer you to come up with a different word other than aliens. We would prefer you to use the term other beings. We would prefer you to use another term that acknowledges them as beings because they are. They're beings just like you. They just happen to be housed in a different form. And we understand that you have a lot of issues with this on this planet as well. When you have a person in a different form, there are lots of people who have issues with that as well. And we understand that's part of the duality and that's part of the shadow. There is a mentality here on this planet that is about creating for self. And that is one of the main themes on this planet, is being able to create for self. On many other planets, there are concepts that you can't even comprehend. To say creating for a collective would be doing the energy a disservice because it is something way more grand than that. But we want to help you to understand why having beings from other planets here is beneficial to your planet. There is other information, there is different vibration, there is experience that these souls bring to your planet that you would not otherwise have. Imagine that it is a tapestry of energy, and having new energy come into this tapestry changes the look of it, but also creates more beauty, more diversity, and more abilities to create. Wonderful. Thank you. Is there any other information you have for us about that? No. Okay. All right. Last but not least, I would like to talk about the use of fear in religion to keep us out of our power. And this is something that can be written about in thousands of books and probably has, but I want to address it here because it is something that was very pertinent to Tessa's experience. That when religions were founded, let's say, and we're talking ancient religions, they were created to help people initially. Unfortunately, those who harnessed the power of them decided to take that power for themselves. The information that we're connecting to now, meaning that ability to create, that ability to manifest, that ability to connect to our psychic gifts, all of those things were all concepts that ancient peoples knew already, and they already used those things. But as society evolved as a whole, the shadow started to take those concepts and wanted to harness those concepts for their own. And by shadow, I mean people. I mean people in power in various places all over the world who decided that it was theirs to harness and that they were going to prevent others from keeping this information. This is why indigenous people have been marginalized and pushed off their lands, and traditions have been lost. It's because they hold secrets to the land. They hold secrets to the soul that people in power did not want them to have. And that has been the case for thousands of years. People in power trying to instill fear in you, creating fear simply so you do not connect to you, to your soul, to your power, to your gifts, to everything that is your right. I'm not saying that every religion is like this. There are parts of religion that do a lot of good, but a majority of the religions in this world have been built upon this idea of instilling fear to keep you out of your power, to keep God outside of you, to keep God as this other being that is passing judgment on you. And that is simply not the case. So pay attention to where certain people in power are trying to instill fear. because the only thing that they are doing at that moment is creating an opportunity for you to lose your connection to your soul. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I am looking forward to connecting with you for another episode next week.
If you've been enjoying this podcast, it would mean so much if you could like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform. And if you feel inspired, leaving a review is always appreciated. If you're following along on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode of the Akashic Recordings. Also, if you feel called to work with me personally, you can book a session at any time at infinitesoullove.com. Everything can be scheduled directly on my website. Thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to connect with you again next week.